Together we...
I think you guys have already heard me rant about how great the Dreamcast was, so I'll skip that for this video. ChuChu Rocket. Didn't think a quirky game like this would hold the title of being the first Dreamcast online game, but here we are. Before Quake 3, before Phantasy Star Online, before Maximum Pool, there was ChuChu Rocket, by Sonic Team no less. Anyway, how best do I describe this game? Well, it's a 4-player battle game. No wait, it's a puzzle game. No wait, it's a challenge game where you need to be quick on your feet. No wait, it's an online game. No wait, it has a puzzle editor. Oh, it has a... Okay, well, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So let's go over the bare basics. ChuChu Rocket is a tile-based action puzzle game. The core mechanics of the game involve guiding these cute little mice called ChuChus through a 12x9 grid towards a rocket. Each player has their own colored cursor that they use to place arrows on this grid to change the ChuChu's direction. With your controller, you move the cursor on screen with the left thumbstick, then press the 4 face buttons to place arrows in the appropriate direction. On the Dreamcast controller, A is down, B is right, Y is up, and X is left. ChuChus will always turn clockwise unless they hit a corner, which is something to keep an eye on and strategize with. These weird cats called Kapu Kapus will eat any mouse they come in contact with, and they can follow these arrows too. However, an arrow will only survive a Kapu Kapu hitting it dead on twice. Then it will disappear. Turning is not a problem. Typically, ChuChus and Kapu Kapus will come out of these little portals. The main mode, the 4-player battle, is a competition to collect the most mice while sending all the cats to your opponent's rockets, and can be played either as a free-for-all or in teams of 2. The single-player puzzle mode requires that you get all the mice safely to any of the rockets without them dying or letting a cat get into the rocket. Challenge mode is basically one of 5 games that can be played with 1 or 2 players. There's a stage editor where you can make your own puzzles, and you used to be able to send them to other people on the internet. Speaking of which, the multiplayer mode also supports online. But the only way to do this now is by using a Raspberry Pi that connects your Dreamcast to a specific homebrew server, since Sega shut down their servers a long time ago. This is something I want to do someday, because I want to know what it was like playing this game online all those years ago. You log on, there would be specific servers where people host chat rooms and games. People can talk to each other in between these games. It sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, that's the basics. Now let's get detailed. Multiplayer. This mode was the main selling point for the game when it first came out, because it didn't just have local multiplayer support, you could play the game online. Again, nowadays you need a Pi to do this, but this was big back in the day. But since Redream can't emulate that yet, I will stick to local multiplayer. I'll stick to playing against bots. So the setup for multiplayer is as follows. You're given 3 minutes to collect as many mice into your rocket as possible. Each player can have 3 arrows on screen at a time. When you place a 4th one, the oldest one you placed disappears, though the arrows also can disappear by themselves over time. Basically, each player can focus on either getting mice into their rocket, or completely screw with each other by sending mice away from others' rockets. There are 24 different multiplayer levels, and each one poses a completely different challenge for the players, so things get especially hectic with certain level types. Then we have the cats. Like I said, any mouse the cat touches is eaten, but now if it hits someone's rocket, that player loses a third of their score. When you don't have many mice, it doesn't add up to much, but the higher your score is, the worse it hurts. Trust me. There are also 2 additional kinds of mice in this mode. There's the 50 mouse, which gives the player who got it 50 mice. Pretty straightforward. Then there's the question mouse. This thing activates a roulette whenever someone gets it, and whatever it lands on can change the game completely. Now, other reviewers will just sit down and go, so here we have the speed up item, which will cause all the mice and cats to go faster. You see, that's boring. So today, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Maestro? When the mouse mania comes, you ought to prepare your thumbs, cause the screen is gonna flood with a ton of mice. 10 cat mania appears and every mouse disappears, all replaced by mangy cats, which is not so nice. Slow down and speed up, make sense, and then everybody move and play sounds again. Fast Monopoly will make you hate your friends, so get them with the cat attack and then make amends. Huh, I expected that to take longer. Anyway, the game ends after 3 minutes have passed, though you can make the round shorter in the options menu. Whoever has the most mice at the end of the round gets a point, and the game ends when someone gets 3 wins total. This can also be changed at the beginning of the game to be between 1 and 5 wins required. 4 players can face each other working solo, or players 1 and 3 can team up against players 2 and 4, each sharing their score and getting wins together. As well, and this is purely cosmetic, you can hit either the left or right trigger to boast at or insult your opponents. This is easily my favorite mode in the game, and this is what made me fall in love with ChuChu Rocket in the first place. It's fast, frantic, and can get very intense as you go along, especially with the roulette, because you'll have to suddenly change your strategy because either the game sped up, your rocket moved somewhere else, or a whole bunch of cats are on the loose. Can you see all of me? Walk into my mystery. Heck, half the time games can turn into literal cat soccer, because the players keep bouncing the cat back and forth or end up trapping it. Players steal each other's mice, throw cats at each other before they can even react, and that stinking question mouse causes enough mayhem on its own. But through all this chaos, I can't help but just smile and laugh the entire time. It may be insane. I may not know what the heck's going on half the time, but it's fun. I can't explain how, but it's definitely not nostalgia talking. It's just plain fun. Next up is the single-player puzzle mode, which is how the game was marketed later on in its life. The game has 100 puzzles, split into groups of 25, that ramp up in difficulty as you progress. Some of the later puzzles in this game can be insanely challenging, but that makes it all the more satisfying when you actually complete it. Basically, you're given a level with mice, cats, and traps placed in specific places, and are tasked with placing arrows to get all the mice safely to the rocket using a limited number of arrows. This isn't real time. Everything is frozen in time until you press the right trigger to start time. Now, when I say that you have to get the mice to the rocket safely, what I mean is the mice can't be eaten by cats, they can't fall down holes, and cats can't get into the rockets. That's much easier said than done. But there is, of course, always a solution, and the game gives you the exact number of arrows you need to pull it off. There are no hints, so if you're stuck on something, and you don't want to trial and error your way through, the internet is your friend. You can only play the first 25 levels when you start the game, but once you clear each group of puzzles, you can move on to the next one. If you finish all 100 puzzles, you unlock a new skin for the ChuChus, which I will cover later. The last of the main modes is Challenge Mode. This mode is kind of a combination of the puzzle and multiplayer modes, because you're given a specific task to accomplish, but it's in real time, and you only have 30 seconds to complete it. Up to 2 players can play this mode, and the puzzles are split into 5 different challenges. Get all the mice to the rocket, don't let the cat eat the mice on the way to the rocket, make the cat eat all the mice, collect 100 mice, and whittle down your opponent's score by sending cats to their rockets. There are 5 levels for each kind of challenge, except for the final challenge, which is a multiplayer game against a tough CPU. The levels are fun, but very challenging, making me wish I had someone with me to play. Basically, to complete this, I had to be at the top of my game, which made a nighttime recording session make even less sense than usual. I really should have been playing this in the morning or afternoon. Anyway, once you complete every challenge, you unlock one more skin for the ChuChus. Normally the ChuChus look like this, but you can unlock 2 new skins for them by playing the single-player modes. Nightopians from Nights into Dreams, and Chow from Sonic Adventure. They're cosmetic, but it's nice to see Sonic Team give a nod to their previous works here. Lastly, ChuChu Rocket has a puzzle editor. Basically, you can make your own puzzles just like the ones you played in puzzle mode, with no limitations, except that you can only save 25 puzzles at a time. You can place your own walls, mice, cats, holes, and rockets, and come up with the solution yourself. You have to solve your own puzzle before you can save it, so you can't make impossible puzzles to stump your friends. You can then access the puzzles you created in the main puzzle mode. I've made my own puzzles for my friends to try in the past, that I unfortunately cannot access anymore, and I found that very fun. Now, I've been covering the Dreamcast version this whole video. What I did not mention yet was that the Dreamcast version is not actually how I was introduced to the game. I first played the game on iOS, back when it was ported in late 2010. It had everything except for the puzzle editor, but to compensate for this, it included thousands of user-made puzzles from when the Dreamcast servers were still active. Yeesh! Unfortunately, this version is no longer available on the iOS App Store because it was never updated to 64-bit. And I don't know if it's still available for Android or not. I keep forgetting to charge the one Android device I actually own. In this version, you would use the touchscreen and drag on the square to place an arrow. It's different, but it can be adjusted to. The game also somehow made its way to the Game Boy Advance of all systems, and actually holds the honor of being the first Game Boy Advance game that Sega published. This version also included the thousands of user-made puzzles that also made it into the iOS version, and includes an updated puzzle editor that can even make levels for the challenge and multiplayer modes. As well, the multiplayer mode has exclusive roulette options, some of which take advantage of each player having their own screen. If I ever cover that version, I'll be able to extend my song. So that about sums up ChuChu Rocket, a heart-pounding puzzle action game that I feel is unmatched in what it does. I have yet to see a game like this out there besides the occasional open source or freeware clone. If you watched my Apple Arcade video, you'll remember how utterly disappointed I was that ChuChu Rocket Universe, the only official sequel to this game, didn't stack up to the original for me in many ways. I just feel that this original game achieved a certain balance of charm, technique, and fun that has gone unrivaled since. I wish so much that there was a port of this game to modern systems, since online gameplay is so much better now than it was in 1999. And I think during this whole pandemic thing, we need a great multiplayer game that we can play online. ChuChu Rocket is a game that can absolutely stand out on its own, and honestly, I think it's one of the Dreamcast's best games, period. Sorry for the long wait on this video, my schedule got crazy through fall, and I'm not sure how I'm going to cope with this next year, as I might get even busier. But I'm glad I could get this video done. It's been one I wanted to make for a while, even before ChuChu Rocket Universe prompted me to kickstart plans. Now let's look on to the future with, ooh, Christmas! Okay, so I'm going to be covering and singing Christmas songs over on my music channel, ArtisIan Music, so please stop by. There's a new video every Tuesday. Okay, now the video can end. Cue the transition. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Indianapolis, Indiana. Sorry, I've got that turkey in the straw melody stuck in my head. Anyway, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss my next video. I plan on covering the runner-up of my Twitter poll next month, which was Super Meat Boy. See you later!